Welcome everyone to How to Father, a podcast on the amateurness of being a dad. I'm your host, Troy Rivas, and this is episode 5. This is our mid-season episode. We're going to recap what we have learned and what we talked about. Also, we're going to preview some amazing, wonderful, exciting episodes we have coming up, new guests, new topics, a lot of great things that is coming up in the future. I plan on doing 10 episodes for season 1, and I didn't realize that we were already kind of flying through here with 5 episodes. So that means we're 5 weeks in this, just over a month. So thank you everyone from the bottom of my heart for all your support. Thank you, Ted, and thank you, Sky, for being a big part with episode 3 and episode 4, both great success, and we learned a lot from those, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I want to give a big shout out. Thank you to a couple local businesses here in Albuquerque. We have Above Snakes. There's a boutique shop here. They are in Old Town, and they are a men's boutique shop. We've heard me talk about them in the past. They're a sustainable, fashionable boutique shop dedicated for men. So why can't dads look and dress and be cool? I'm actually rocking one of their shorts right now, very comfortable. Then we're also going to do a shout out to my good friend Shay 808. He's the one, listen to the tracks that have been playing. They're straight heat, straight fire out of LA. He was here at UNM, and he is based out of LA, just making great tracks, great music. Billboard charting stuff. And keep it up, Shay. Keep killing it. Thank you for your support on the podcast. Also, a local business here that I a frequent of. It's called Duke City Beaches. They are a local bar here in the Northeast Heights of Albuquerque, and they specialize in volleyball and trivia and so much more. They have a playground for kids. It's a great place. They have their own winery and all this fun stuff. Great food, great atmosphere. Duke City Beaches. If you're in Albuquerque, if you play volleyball, if you just want to have a good time on a patio, nice cold drink, they have live music. They have a lot of things. They are actually going to hang up a How to Father podcast banner at their main volleyball court. So I'm very grateful and thankful for that. So Duke City Beaches, thank you for all your support. And of course, my real estate team, Navigation Realty Group, everything that you do for us. So yes, this is our episode 5. We have averaged just about over 100 downloads per episode, which per the statistics is pretty darn good. And I'm excited for that. I'm excited to continue to grow this. So once again, thank you guys from the bottom of my heart for all your support in How to Father. Again, this podcast is designed to not just help myself out, but also help out other dads as we are continually learning how to father in this crazy world of ours. Before I get started, we talk about the recap, and we're going to talk about what's to come. But in the last few days, our family has been rocked in a good way, in a great way, with some exciting news. Some news that really has changed our lives, changed the trajectory of our lives, and it ties into who I am as a person, and one of the main reasons why I started this podcast. So if you remember the Meet Me introduction, the first true episode of the podcast, first full-length episode of the podcast here, I talked about myself in length for the most part, and mainly was talking about my experience and my experience with my dad, which isn't a big experience, but the experience of growing up with a single mom, the experience of growing up and knowing my dad, and not knowing my dad, but knowing the family. I was very blessed and very honored to know the family around me when it came to my grandma, my grandpa, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, etc. So I was very lucky and blessed to still have a good connection with my immediate family on my dad's side, my Rivas and Rosales side of the family. And there's a Machoas, there's a lot of different ones out there, Martinez, etc. But we're all family, and we're all spread out over this wonderful country and Mexico, etc. So with that being said, a couple of days ago, my mom got a call from one of my cousins in Nebraska. So my grandmother, Mary Stella, She was pretty much her and all her siblings. They ended up in Nebraska, western Nebraska, Ogallala, excuse me, North Platte, Grant, Sidney, kind of that western Nebraska region. And with that being said, that's where my dad grew up, was western Nebraska, Ogallala. He went to high school there, all this fun stuff. Ogallala is it's a small town. North Platte's kind of a big town in western Nebraska, if you want to consider that a big town, but Ogallala is a smaller town there. So everyone kind of knows everybody and all that jazz. We used to go to Nebraska a lot as kids. We used to go out there and work on my Uncle Jerry's farm and be part of the farm life. My Uncle Jerry is a wonderful man. He had a wonderful farm. He had cattle, he had corn, he had everything else in between. So we are very accustomed to the farm life in western Nebraska. Demolition derbies, roller skating rinks, Dairy Queens, and of course tornadoes. And you can't forget Cornhusker football. Trust me, I got stories about Cornhusker football and all that fun stuff. But with that being said, my cousin Melissa, they call her Chunky, and she sent my mom a message and gave her a call that my dad, after leaving my mom and us and going on his little separate way, he made his way back to Ogallala, Nebraska, until he met another gal, until he got her pregnant. And we just found out, myself, my sister Bianca, my brother Corey, and Nicole, we have half twin brothers. And it could go a lot of ways, right? You could say, well, they were never part of my life. Or what if? Is it true? Is it real? DNA test. Let's go on Mari. Let's do all this other stuff. But the way our mom raised us was to have a including and loving heart and mindset when it comes to anyone and everyone. And that's who my mom was, and that's how she raised us. So it was that initial shock and lost for words. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do and all this other stuff. But we knew we had to explore and figure out what is going on and who these wonderful boys are. And so we had a powwow yesterday, the siblings and myself, my mom then showing up and everyone. And we were just talking, okay, how do we address this? How do we present this? And how do we this is very foreign territory. We grew up without a dad, and even my sister Nicole and I, when we did meet him, we talked about that about 6 years ago. We asked that question, are there any other kids? Do you have any other kids out there? And he explicitly said, no, they're not, just you guys. Lo and behold, he knew that wasn't the case. He lied to us, which it seems like the MO for him, and that's his burden to bear, that's his cross to bear, that's on him. So at the end of the day, to each their own. It doesn't matter or it doesn't affect my life. I mean, it does affect my life or affect our lives, but at the end of the day, that's who he is, and we can't change that either way. So my cousin, she found out years ago, she worked for the child services in Nebraska, and she saw my dad's name come across her desk for child support. By seeing that, she noticed the two boys, which are twin boys' names, on the list, on the claim for the child support, knowing that, okay, he has some kids. Fast forward, she worked for the DA's office, and she had this in the back of her mind, but she couldn't really do anything, act on it because of her job, and because these kids were in foster care. And so if you know foster care, they protect these kids. They're not going to be just plastered everywhere. Their information's not going to be plastered everywhere. And they're not going to know where these kids are at, because we don't know if dad, mom, or anyone who clearly doesn't have the capability of raising these boys will try to come up and do something or try to take the kids. So they're very secretive and I won't say secretive, but they're very secure and private with the kids' information. So with that being said, fast forward, without boring you with too many details, she now works at the DA office, and one of the sons, he is a sheriff, and he ended up coming in and talking to her probably about a case or dropping some stuff off. I'm not sure the details. and she recognized the name. So she did her due diligence. She talked to the sheriff. She talked to some other people. She did her research, and she realized that these two boys were her cousins. These two boys were Joey Rivas's kiddos. And sadly, these two boys grew up in foster care. These two boys grew up from house to house, from care to care, and not really having a family. And this is from their words, not just my interpretation. So we talked about it. We said, yes, we'll love to extend a line of communication. I was texting Zach yesterday, and we're just like, again, what do you say? Hey, brother, nice to meet you. There's a lot of different things that are running in your mind, a lot of different emotions, excitement, just like, I wouldn't even say fears, but just like the unknown, and then you want to get to know each other. You want to like, hey, this is who I am. But of course you can't, A, go across that with a text message, and B, even if you were in front of each other, you could just talk to your blue. Because I mean, my experience of 38 years in this world is a lot of different experiences, and probably with them as well. So then Blake, the other brother, he gave me a call. And we talked for about an hour or so, and we just it just came back down to one thing. They've never had family. And that crushed me. Knowing one or two things. We had the same, and I'm going to be honest, we had the same dipshit dad who could not man up to his responsibility. Who could not man up no matter what happened between him and my mom, no matter what happened between him and their mom, he still could not man up to his responsibility. He ran to Florida because they don't garnish wages on child support or whatever. And he's been there, living his life, doing his own thing without a care in the world to 6. And God knows if there's any others out there. But they said, we've always wanted to know who our family was. Their mom at a young age left them to the foster care program. She was on drugs. She just, again, could not raise these boys. So these boys had no family. And sorry, I'm getting emotional, but I could not imagine that. And this podcast on how to father, sure, it's about fun stuff and it's about the different experiences of being a dad, etc. But it's about the raw reality of if you don't step up as a father, if you become a dad and you abandon your responsibilities, their consequences are heavy on so many other people, especially the kids who are innocent in it all. These boys were innocent in it all. There was nothing they did wrong to deserve this. Nothing that I did wrong. Nothing that millions and millions of kids did wrong when dads step out of their responsibilities. And so when I say that I am overjoyed, I am ecstatic, I'm elated to know these kids. At the same time, my heart was breaking to know that they went through life not knowing family. And then Ogallala, like I said, is a very small town comparative to most big cities or big towns, but everyone knows everybody in that town. They were surrounded by family their whole life, and they had no clue. And all it took was my dad to just stay there, or to let someone know, hey, you know what? I have kids on the way. I can't do this. I'm not made to be a parent. Clearly, you already left 4 kids in Maryland. I got 2 more in Nebraska. Just let someone know. And he didn't. And these kids, they had nothing when it came to family growing up. And again, this is just my interpretation of what they've told me. We haven't really talked in true length about their life. And they're both dads right now, which is so awesome. And it's so great. And it's so wonderful to see their beautiful families and their beautiful kids. But at the same time, it's like, how can they ask the question, like, I don't know how to parent. I didn't know what to do because I didn't have a dad to truly like show me. Like, I didn't have a dad to show me. Sure, I had father experiences with my uncles and with other people, other men around me, but I never had that dad to really kind of show or guide me, because clearly we all know that this guy could not own up to his responsibilities. So this was supposed to be just a fun, quick recap and an exciting podcast about what is to come. And there's a lot of great stuff to come, and I can't wait to share with the next few episodes and our guests, etc., that's happening. But this is a very hit hard to home reminder of the importance of fatherhood, the importance of owning up to your responsibilities as a dad. No matter what happened, if you and your mom, or you and the mom, you and your partner, you and your wife, you and your whatever, fill in the blank, if you guys don't work out, you still have a responsibility and a due diligence to raise your kids. You still have a responsibility and due diligence to change the generational curse if there is one. You still have a responsibility and due diligence to show your kids that there is a important lesson to have a father figure around, especially your actual dad. And I see it in myself and what I'm doing and figuring things out with my kids. And now I see it with my two new brothers and their families. They could have easily said, well, I didn't have a family, so I'm just going to get up and go. I didn't have a family, so I'm just going to do my own thing and leave. But they didn't. And again, we are 3 days in of knowing that of each other, or at least getting to know each other. And we're going to make a trip up to Nebraska, or maybe go to Denver, meet halfway or something like that. And I'm going to bring the mics and everything, and maybe we could have a raw conversation about that and life and how they are as parents, etc. But the issue of dads, men, be responsible. It's not about you. It's not about your significant other. It's about these kids. And the consequences that these kids have honestly, no say in at all, weigh heavy if you don't own up to your responsibility as a man and as a father. They said one thing, I was sending pictures of the boys and of like the siblings and the family and everything like that. And I'm going to read verbatim what it said. Bear with me as I unlock my phone here. It says this. Let's see. I send pictures, and he says, what a great family. This is Zach. And he's sending me pictures of his family, his beautiful family, beautiful fiance. I said, it's not just a great family, it's your family now too. He responds, thank you. I'm just used to having absolutely no one in my life. This is amazing for my brother and I. Zach and Blake, your family. And I'm sorry that the consequences, the lack of responsibility that turned into the consequences that our dad had in your life up to the 29 years has shaped you to be whoever you are now, and I can't wait to learn that. But know this right now, from father to father, from man to man, from now brother to brother, we're here for you, man. We are here 100%. How to Father was birthed because I didn't have a dad, and I'm still learning. The lessons I learned from Ted in episode 3, the lessons about really kind of sitting back and looking at the cookie crumb trail of where your kids are, why are they in that emotional state? If it's high, if it's low, if it's mad, if it's sad, kind of instead of trying to change, hey, you should be okay, or stop being sad, kind of figuring out, hey, why are you this way? Why are you sad? What's going on? The lessons that thank you, Ted, so very much have taught me that I never thought, because again, I'm still learning. I didn't have that representation of a father. My mom did a wonderful job, and I'm not taking that away from her, but from a dad, it's different. It's different. When it comes to everything that we talked about with Sky, which was a lot, The little things. Don't sweat the little things. Let things go. Laugh. Joke. Make it a routine. Make it whatever it takes to just to be okay. To realize that we have this moment once with our kids, and then that's that. And they having a difference. And I just have sons. We talked about the difference of raising the expectations of sons and daughters. And I'm going to talk about that with my experience, one of these episodes, about how I saw from the outside in how tough my mom was to Corey and I, and versus how she was with the girls. And I understood, like at the time as a kid, I was like, well, why are we getting punished 3 times as hard than the girls? Like they're doing the same thing, or whatever the case is, at least in my interpretation of it. But I realized that, okay, my mom had to do that just because she had no, really, she's like, I got to be tough on these boys because the boys need that. They need that. We do. We need the dads to be real, raw, loving, but as well as tough and directed. And moms can do the same thing too, but it's a different thing. So yes, crazy news. Everything in between. It's a lot of excitement, a lot of this, a lot of that. But we, our family of 4 siblings, plus of course a brother-in-law, and we'll throw Arthur in there. You're in the family too, buddy, and all that fun stuff. When it comes to at least siblings, at least from my purview, looking out, we have added 2 wonderful brothers, twin brothers, Blake and Zach. So we'll talk more about that. I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, this episode was not meant to be on that. It's just going to be a fun, quick little recap and talking about what we have coming up. But it really shows the true rawness of why being a father is so important, why stepping up to the plate is so important. And when you're there, there's going to be curveballs, there's going to be sinkers, there's going to be sliders, there's going to be all kinds of fastballs, high pitch. You might even get hit with the ball. But we got to stay in the box, and we got to do whatever it takes to continue to be dads. Our kids need it. Our society needs it. The future of our planet, honestly, let's get real, needs that. They need strong kids raised by strong men. And I'm not talking about strong men like, oh, I'm tough, I don't need it. I don't need to feel emotion. I'm an oak. I'm an oak tree. I'm stuck in my roots. I'm this. No, it's men. We got to be palm trees. We got, no matter where the wind blows or however it blows, we got to bend with it. If it blows to being more calmer and being more patient, then we got to be patient. If it blows to be a little more stern in some cases, then we got to be a little more stern. But at the end of the day, we have to be real, and we have to be able to mold ourselves to be better for our kids. We're in we have a little dad group from the school, a little park dad group. We've talked about that real quick. And there's a quote that one of the dads, great dad, NIL, he's a great man, 2 beautiful girls. And I'm going to just kind of paraphrase this, summarize this. And he said, in everything you do as a dad, even if you don't know what you're doing, as long as you have the best interests of your kids in mind, you're going to be okay. And that's that's paraphrased because it's not verbatim, but that was kind of the message he had. So no matter what, guys, have your kids' best interest in heart. And if my dad was man enough, again, he's not. We all know that. If he had the empathy, the care, the understanding that I can't do this, I just not built for this, which clearly that's the case, then all he had to do was say, Uncle Rudy, Grandma or Mom, Dad, because they knew of us. We had a family experience with our family. But all he had to say was, my name's on the birth certificate. I can't do this. I'm going to run off and do whatever I'm doing. But you have 2 more grandsons. You have 2 more nephews. You have 2 more this. You have 2 more that. and it could drastically change these boys' lives. And that's the importance of fatherhood. But we can't go back in the past. But what I am excited for, what I'm ecstatic for, is our future together as brothers, as fathers, as everything else in between. So we'll go on. We'll as we continue to learn from each other and grow from each other. We will continue to. This might be a pretty big topic and I guess study guide to realize the importance of fatherhood, the importance of owning up to your responsibilities. But this is episode 5. We made it to 5 episodes. Honestly, I was recording it on my camera and I just ran out of memory card space because I didn't clear it. But here we are. It is what it is. We're still learning. We're still trying to figure things out. But we have some exciting episodes coming up. Oh my goodness gracious. So we've had episode 1 was a very short introductory episode. Number 2 was kind of a meet me, so you kind of know who I am, why I think the way I think, why I father, etc. Episode 3 was a wonderful episode with Ted Farnoff. Thank you, Ted. That was an amazing, true, raw episode covering a lot of facets of his childhood, growing up in a split family, from him becoming a father of 1 and 2 and living in the big city and everything else in between. I highly recommend you guys listen to that episode. And then episode 4 was with Sky, where we're talking about homeschooling, having 5 kids all under age of 7, the difference between the expectations of raising a father expectation of a father between raising a daughter and a son. Not sweating the small stuff and so much more, and then doing all that in his life, of course, faith-based. So that's another great episode. And this is episode 5, which is going to be a fun recap episode. But of course, bombshell, exciting news. Yay, I got some more brothers. And I think that's an important topic that we're going to touch on down the road, of the importance of being a dad and how that affects your kids when you're not. And again, and to the extreme where these boys really didn't have that support of a true, honest family, as we thankfully, gratefully had with that side of the family. But coming up, we have some exciting episodes starting next week. So next week, we are going to talk with a psychologist, one of my friends, Natasha Najjar, and she's going to talk to us pretty much in a psychologist's mindset of what the importance of being a dad is, not just to the kid immediate, but to the surrounding societies, etc., and how that really shapes our psyche as a family, as a community, as everything when it comes to fatherhood. So that's going to be next week. We're going to have a psychologist on, and I'm super excited for that. We had lunch last week, and just the conversations we had back and forth makes me beyond excited for all of that. Following that, coaching and fatherhood. My good friend Alex Tenna, he has a great podcast called Culture Punch Podcast. You guys should check that out. A lot of sports stuff, a lot of just kind of topics across the board. He's a great man, a great dad of 2 wonderful sons, but he coaches his sons in baseball, I think in soccer, basketball, etc. And we're going to talk about the difference of when you coach your kids, the expectation you have for your kids. Is it more? Is it greater than other teammates because you understand what they bring to the table, and how to kind of balance that coach-father line there of not being too stern or too strict or too this or too that, and having your expectations way too high for your kids versus other kids. So that's going to be coming up as well. Also, a very important one too, another raw, all these episodes are going to be raw and real, is we're going to be talking about the importance of being a Black dad, and the importance of Black kids being raised and Black fathers stepping up to the plate with my good friend Cody Flannery. Great father, and he's a good representation of Black fatherhood. And so I'm excited to have him on here, and we're going to talk in depth about why it is important for Black dads and Black men to step up to the plate. And even in the case that it doesn't work out with the the spouse or the significant other on why it's so important for Black fathers to step up, because we know statistics show a lot of Black dads do not. A lot of Black dads aren't there for their kids. We're also going to talk to my good friend Raul Roman. Raul is a wonderful dad. We're both dads at the same school, just like Ted and I. And we have a couple other dads at the school they're going to be jumping on as well in season 2. And he's going to be talking about the importance of raising 2 girls. He has 2 beautiful little girls. He's going to be talking about that. And then, of course, he is a truck driver, about being on the road and being away from home and being away from family, how that affects and how he can make the best of his time with his girls when he is with them and all that fun stuff. And last episode 10, the last episode of season 1 of How to Father, which I'm still like, my mind's still blowing that we're already kind of getting to the end of season 1. It is going to be a conversation with myself and my boys. It's going to be a conversation with Camden and Maxon and myself. We're going to sit down. We're going to talk. We're going to talk freely. We're just going to laugh. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And I'm very, very excited about all that and everything else in between. And I'm going to ask him questions like, hey, how can I be a dad, better dad? How can I be a better dad to you? And hopefully it's as simple as, hey, buy me more Pokemon cards, or this, and that. Or it's as raw and as real as, Dad, I want you to be more present, or I wish you were home more, or I wish this, I wish that. Because I feel that those are important things. We have to be we have to be raw and real with our kids, and we have to let them tell us. And just because we're the parent and we're the adult and we've been around so much longer doesn't mean we know everything. It doesn't mean we know what they feel and the best for them. They know what's best for them majority of the time. So that's going to be episode 10. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. It has been a wonderful journey, been a wonderful time getting to hear these experiences with other dads, kind of figuring things out with my own self as a father, this new pretty much life that now I'm embarking on with my new brothers, and learning from them, learning how to be a dad from these guys too, as they are fathers as well. And I'm super excited for the topics and episodes that are upcoming. So once again, thank everybody so very much for all your support. Let's get to 1,000 downloads. Let's keep moving and grooving. Please share it. If you have any questions or any topics you want to touch on, we have an Instagram, How to Father Pod is our IG handle. Follow us on Instagram. All our updates and stuff are going to be on there. If you're not on Instagram or you don't want to say anything there, we have a email, howtofatherpod@gmail.com. And then we have a website. It's through Podbean, and the link is in the Instagram. And so you could kind of follow follow everything through our little website as well. So as we always finish, a cheesy dad joke, and they're not cheesy. They're actually pretty good. This was a little cheesy. So why are our elevator jokes so good? Because they work on so many levels. Hold your laughter. I'll be here all night. Please tip your waitress and wait staff, please, and thank you. So once again, thank you so very much for listening. Episode 5, How to Father podcast. We are super excited about the growth of this podcast. Thank you again for everyone who has listened, everyone who's subscribed, and everyone who has been a part of this journey. We're going to continue to bring more content. Again, if you have topics, points of discussion, please send us a DM or put us a comment on our Instagram there, How to Father Pod. And then of course we have our Gmail, howtofatherpod@gmail.com for the email. So thank you guys once again. See you in the next one. Peace.